Hey crew, welcome back for part 2. We are still in 0.1, solving equations, simplifying, and evaluating. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to multiply a binomial by a binomial. So in this example, I've got 3x plus 4 times 5x minus 2. Now, some of you I know use your rainbows. You can call this FOIL. Some of you might make a box to multiply this out. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways. Now is a great time to pause your video if you would like to try this on your own. So I've got 3x times 5x, which is 15x squared. Then I have to multiply 3x times my other term. 3x times negative 2 is negative 6x. Done with my 3x. Okay, so moving on to the 4. 4 times 5x is 20x. It's positive. And we've got 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. I'm going to go ahead and combine like terms. Nothing combines with the 15x squared. I've got negative 6x plus 20, which is a positive 14, and then minus 8 comes at the end. Okay, another way you might have learned how to do this. We're going to take 3x plus 4 over here. We're going to multiply it by 5x minus 2 down the side. We're going to make this box to organize our work, and we're going to multiply. So 5x times 3x, they join in this box. We're multiplying. We've got 15x squared. 5x times 4 is 20x. Negative 2 times 3x is negative 6x. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. Now, if you notice, you'll get the same numbers that we came up with earlier. So now I'm just going to combine the boxes that go together. I'm going to start with my highest exponent again of 15x squared. There it is. I've got 20x minus 6x. That gives me 14x. And then I have minus 8 hanging out at the end. So that's two different ways that you can do that. Okay, now we're going to move on to absolute value. So I've got the absolute value of 5x minus 2 equals 1. We're going to take a step back a little bit. If I have the absolute value of x equals 3, we need to think about what number I can substitute in for x so that the absolute value of it is 3. Well, you'll probably say, oh, Mrs. Carroll, the absolute value of 3 is 3. That's true because 3 is 3 spots from 0. That's what absolute value is. But if we look on the other side, the absolute value of negative 3 is still a positive 3 because negative 3 is also 3 units from 0. So if I'm looking at this, this means the absolute value of something equals 1. So if I have the absolute value of something, we'll just call this y to not confuse it. The absolute value of something equals 1. Well, y is either 1 or y is negative 1. So consider this my y. This is either 1 or it's negative 1 because the absolute value of negative 1 is also 1. Come on, focus. Okay, so I have two separate equations. So absolute value is two different equations because I have two different spots that are the same distance from 0. Okay, so now I'm going to solve for x. We're just going to add 2 to both sides. So add 2, we get 1 plus 2 is 3. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 5. Right, there's my work. X equals 3 over 5. Fantastic. Okay, then I'm going to add 2 to both sides here. So I'm going to add 2. Negative 1 plus 2 is 1. And we're going to go ahead, show my work. Divided by 5, x equals 1/5. So I've got two answers here. X can be 1/5 and it can be 3/5. Okay, so that's absolute value, the distance from 0. Now I'm going to solve an equation here again, just like I solved the other ones. I've got x plus 6 divided by x minus 5 equals 3 over 2. Now I have a fraction equaling a fraction. It's kind of easy. I think you guys can do this one. It's just cross multiplication, but we have to remember to distribute. So I need to take the numerator times the denominator of my other fraction. So I'm taking 2 times x plus 6, which is 2x plus 12, 2x plus 12, setting it equal to the numerator times the denominator. So 3 times the quantity x minus 5. So then we distribute, okay, 3 times x is 3x, 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. All right, now we just have to solve for x. It's a normal regular equation just like we're used to. I'm going to put the x's on the right because I have more over there. So I'm going to subtract 2x, subtract 2x. We're left with 1x. Some of you are going to do this in 2 steps, or excuse me, in 1 step and call it good. We're going to add 15 over to the other side. We're going to add 15 over here. It gives me 27 equals x or 1x. Now remember, when you're solving an equation, you can always go back and check. So if you're feeling like, oh, I don't know if it's supposed to be 27, let's plug it back in. 27 plus 6 is 33. I've got 27 minus 5, that's 22. Now I know 11 goes into both of those. Let's see, 33 divided by 11 is 3. 22 divided by 11 is 2. Hey, guess what? 3 halves is equal to 3 halves. So my answer was my 27. Okay, I've got 2 more from you, or for you. Be like, oh my gosh, Mrs. Carroll, this is taking forever. Well, you're going to want 2 examples probably because this is kind of difficult stuff on this last one. I'm going to start on a new page, actually. Okay, so our problem, and I know you guys hate fractions, but the world is fractions, and it doesn't just skip fractions. If we didn't have fractions, instead of making $10.50 an hour, you only make $10 an hour. Or instead of making $10.75, you only make $10. Okay, now, some of you are going to probably pause this video and you're going to want to add the 3/5 over. Then you're going to realize, oh my gosh, I need to find a common denominator. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to go plus 3/5 plus 3/5. Okay, so 2y equals a half plus 3/5. Okay, now I got to remember I need to make these tens. 2 times 5 is 10, so 1 times 5 is 5. And then we got, what, 5 times 2? 3 times 2 is 6. And I got 2y equals, what is that, 11 tenths. Not sure why I wrote 11 sixths. 11 tenths. Oh my gosh, and then you have to divide by 2, and then I have a fraction divided by a whole number, and you're going to freak out, and you're not going to remember that dividing by a number is like multiplying by its reciprocal, and you're going to totally forget that. Okay, so I'm going to show you an easier way to get rid of these fractions. I'm going to rewrite my problem back up here. Now we're still going to have to find a common denominator, kind of. If I look at a 5 and a 2, and I think, okay, what's the smallest number that a 5 and a 2 will go into? What's my least common multiple? Oh, 10. So I'm going to take my entire equation and multiply it by 10. And then it's like distribution. 10 times 2y is 20y. Then we have 10 times negative 3/5, and we simplified one on the video earlier. 5 goes into 10 twice. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6 equals, then I still have to take 10 times a half. Well, I know half of 10 is 5. Guess what? We have an equation just like the one from the previous page. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add 11 over. Or excuse me, add 6 over to get 11. Then I'm just going to divide by 20. So y equals 11 over 20. To me, it's a lot easier to work with non-fractions than to have to try to figure out this fraction stuff over here. And if you're wondering, 11 times 1 is 11, 10 times 2 is 20, we still get 11 over 20. But it's a lot less to remember. Okay, our last example, we're going to do one very similar. 3x plus 2/3 plus 5 halves x equals 6/5. Okay, now I look at my denominators, a 3, a 2, and a 5. What is the smallest number that a 3, 2, and 5 will go into, or what's its least common multiple? Let's see, let's look at our big number 5. Let's see, count by 5s. 5, 10, 3 doesn't go into 10. 15, 3 goes into 15, 2 does not. 20, 3 doesn't go into 20 evenly. 25, nope, 3 doesn't go into 25. 30, hey, 3 goes into 30 and 2 goes into 30. So I'm going to multiply everything by 30. Well, 30 times 3 is 90, so we have 90x. Then I've got 30 times 2/3. Well, 3 goes into 30 10 times. 10 times 2 is 20. I've got 30 times 5/2. 2 goes into 30 15 times. 15 times 5 is 75, I believe. There's an x. Equals, and then don't forget, 30 times 6/5. And if you can do this without writing this out, that's fantastic. Man, we're having issues with it being blurry. There we go. So 5 goes into 30 6 times. 6 times 6 is 36. Hey, we've got an equation that doesn't involve fractions. Look at that. So I've got 90x and 75x. We're combining like terms. It's 165x plus the 20 equals 36. I'm going to minus 20 from both sides. We're left with 16. And then I have to divide by 165. So I get 16 over 165. Now I know my factors of 16 are 1, 4, and 16. And I also have 2 and 8. None of those numbers go into 165, so these do not simplify. All right, that concludes the second part of our lesson. If you have questions, shoot me an email and I will get to it as soon as I can. Have a good week.